Yeah, hi folks. Now today I'll start this off with the definition of Indigenous from the Cambridge Dictionary. Quote, naturally existing in a place or country rather than arriving from another place. Unquote. So it appears Maori are the same as us. We both arrived from another place. So on this basis, I must be Indigenous as well. In fact, I think I'm more Indigenous than any other Maori born after me, as I have lived here longer. And the same applies to the other 83% of non-Maori Kiwis, who are of the same age group as me. And the same applies to all non-Maori of my parents' generation, and my grandparents' generation, and so on. So now you can begin to see how dangerous and divisive customary rights are. They will tear this country apart. Anyway, I'll start this off with a great petition. Here now folks, it's nice to see that we're not alone. There are other people out there fighting the good fight as well.
Hello, I'm Casey Costello. Since 1840, the Crown has held the seabed and foreshore on behalf of all New Zealanders.
And that should never ever have changed.
But this beautiful shared heritage was destroyed when Parliament passed the Marine and Coastal Area Act. Unless our
That was John Key.
MPs show leadership now, private tribal trusts will soon own or control every square inch of our coastline, amenities like boat ramps and moorings, the airspace above and the minerals below. Nearly 600 claims have been lodged with the Minister of the High Court, and taxpayers are paying millions of dollars for iwi legal costs. Claimants that are awarded title will achieve considerable wealth and control as they set up coastal businesses with the ability to block competitors. Some beaches will be off limits to ordinary New Zealanders, enforceable by fines. We have already seen instances where attempts have been made to block public access. Our future under the Marine and Coastal Area legislation is likely to be filled with resentment, with arguments on the beaches and arguments in the courtroom. Instead of being one people, we will be forever divided. Please sign our petition urging MPs to fix this mess. On behalf of Hobson's Pledge, thank you.
So let's have a look at this petition. Now it looks like this petition started about 2 years ago, and they've got about 36,000 signs so far, and they're looking to get up to 50,000, I think it is there. So we'll just have a look at some of the updates. Now the first one here is about the Whakatane-Apotiki debacle. This one is He Puapua. And this one is about the exorbitant costs in relation to all the claims. And this one is in relation to the White Island tragedy. And I've got a video clip of that, and I'll play that now.
Ai I tēnei wā e mohiotia ana kua rāhuitia te moana mai I konei ki whakaari, a kua rāhuitia anō hoki te moana mai te whakatohea tai rāno ki tihirau ki whangaprawa. E ngā iwi e whaiwahi ai ngā tikanga Māori e rāhuitia ai te moana ki te hunga, e hiahia ana te haere ki te poea o whakaari. Kei muri tonu iau, ka tahi anō ka whakatuingia e nei taiapa.
To stop people from accessing this wharf here in Whakatane. Now, iwi controlled that wharf, not the government, not the police, iwi.
Kaua te hunga e hikoe ki tēnei o ngā wāpu o Whakatāne.
They told us that nothing would change under the Marine and Coastal Area Act. They lied. John Key lied. Yeah, now John Key would have to be the biggest traitor to New Zealand besides Jacinda Ardern.
there. Well, a lot of you have contacted us either online or through the Facebook site or contacted my office in writing or rung about concerns over the coastal area and marine bill. It's a complex piece of legislation and its aim is to replace the foreshore and seabed legislation to correct some of what we think are fundamental errors in the existing legislation and to put a bit more fairness and equity back into the position, while at the same time making sure that all New Zealanders can enjoy their right to go to the beach and do the things they've always done. So let me run through a few of those things because there is some misinformation out there and hopefully that can clarify the position for all of you. Firstly, it's important to understand that the legislation absolutely guarantees your right to go to the beach and to undertake all of those recreational activities you've previously undertaken. So even if an iwi group gets a customary title approved through a direct negotiation with the government or through the court process, you'll still be able to go to the beach, have your barbecue, catch a fish, do all the things that you've done in the past.
Liar.
In a just-released judgment, the High Courts effectively granted a new form of property right, known as customary marine title.
I think this is probably dropped the bomb in some places.
The ruling involves several hapu in an area between Whakatane and Opotiki. The courts protected customary practices like whitebaiting, and in this huge document, a key ruling. The Whakatohea groups had to show they'd had uninterrupted use of the area since 1840, but they'd had land confiscated more than a century ago. So did that mean they'd lose their claim? Here, the courts made a big call. It says in terms of tikanga, or Māori custom, the confiscation of lands would not have severed the connection with the foreshore.
And it's going to be interesting to see what kind of precedent that sets for hearings that take place in other rohe.
In 2005, Labour's attempt to settle the foreshore issue sparked huge protest. National then changed the law, and this ruling is the first major test of that since then.
It's good for everyone else in the sense that it provides some certainty around how this legislation is going to be enacted.
The seafood industry was worried its activities might be restricted.
This isn't something that stops activities from taking place. It's something that allows it to take place in partnership.
You lied, Mr. Key. You never mentioned partnership. I can now go fishing and have a barbecue in partnership with iwi, so I now have to pay.
The second thing is, will all of the coastline go into customary title for which Maori will have control? The answer is no. It'll be a small piece, and it'll be the bit that they can prove that they've used exclusively since 1840. That's why some Maori groups don't like it, because they say that is a very high test and something that's difficult to prove.
Well, I've just proven it in Whakatane, so it's not that difficult to prove.
The third thing that you sometimes hear is that there'll be enormous wealth transfer to Maori, and one of the claims that's been put out there is that through the iron sands that Maori will be able to get where they have customary title on that small piece of New Zealand coastline, that they'll earn up to $1 trillion. That would be great, except all of New Zealand last year earned $72,000, so you can see there's a bit of a difference between those overall numbers. So the one fundamental difference really between this legislation and the legislation on the books is that is not that you can directly negotiate with the government. That's actually the existing position under the old legislation, and that's the way we also handle treaty settlements. It's that if you don't agree with the government, so let's say you're an iwi group, you come along and claim that you have customary title on a beach near you, we the government say no, you haven't had exclusive use and occupation since 1840, so you don't meet the tests. That iwi group have the right to go to court and to test their rights, and we believe as the National Party that's a core fundamental principle of justice and of property rights. And in New Zealand, if for instance you wanted to build something on a piece of land and it was outside the district plan and your council turned you down, you would have the right to go to court. It doesn't mean you would win. It doesn't mean that the dream skyscraper that you want to put on your piece of property will be approved, but what it does mean is that you have the right to test your rights in court, and that is a fundamental principle that shouldn't be taken away from anyone just because of their ethnicity, and in effect that's what the 2004 legislation did. We believe that if we don't settle this today, it will be a weeping sore that will continue to dog governments in the future. So those people who say just let sleeping dogs lie, I think don't really understand that in fact one day that dog is going to get up and bark because they're not happy about the existing legislation.
So your answer is to make it worse.
Trying to speed up the slow wheels of justice, that's what the government's aiming to do for foreshore and seabed issues. Andrew Little's laid out his plan at Mahia Peninsula today, but as Yvonne Tahana reports, he got a surprising counter-offer.
Andrew Little paying a visit to Kaiuku Marae. It's high above the coast that Rongo Wahine people have called home for generations.
Just beautiful coming down here.
Here to address a major problem, the time it's taking to deal with marine and coastal area claims. More than 300 claims have been lodged to the Takutai Moana. That's the wet bit of sand out to sea. But the government says without change, it could take a full century to deal with them all.
We have to do way better than the kind of pathway we're on at the moment.
The issue going back to 2004, when Labour controversially outlawed Māori being able to test their claims to the foreshore and seabed in court. National and the Māori Party then brought in a new law that restored the right for Māori to go to court and allows for direct iwi Crown negotiations. Today, the minister laying out a pathway for change that he hopes will shave 75 years off the process.
The Crown will begin engagement with all applicants who wish to do so now. No queues, no sequencing.
The minister.
No queues, no sequencing. It's going to happen now. So the real onslaught begins now. Yeah, something went wrong there, folks. Anyway, Andrew Little must be really loving John Key at the moment for starting this, for opening the door to this foreshore and seabed takeover. So you can clearly see how well Labour and National work together. They work arm in arm together. So please sign the petition, and I've posted a link to it in the description below, along with a link to their website as well.